Greenland, a frozen island, home to 57,000 people, and now the center of the biggest geopolitical storm of 2026, because President Donald Trump just made a threat that has the entire world watching. Media from every corner of the globe are now rushing to Greenland's icy shores. Why? Because Trump says he wants it. And he's not taking no for an answer. Viewers, imagine waking up to headlines that the President of the United States is threatening to invade a territory belonging to one of America's closest allies. That's exactly what happened on January 20th, 2026, Trump's inauguration day for his second term. According to multiple verified reports from Reuters, Associated Press, and CNN, President Trump made stunning remarks during a press conference that sent shockwaves through NATO, the European Union, and especially Denmark, the nation that has governed Greenland for over 300 years. Trump stated, and I quote, based on AP reporting, "Greenland is essential to American national security. We need it, and we're going to get it, one way or another." But here's where it gets absolutely wild. When a reporter asked if military force was on the table, Trump reportedly responded, "I'm not ruling anything out. Everything is an option when it comes to protecting American interests." Within 24 hours, according to BBC and Reuters, verified reporting from January 21st, 2026, over 300 international journalists descended on Nuuk, Greenland's capital. News vans from CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, Deutsche Welle, and dozens of other outlets are now stationed in sub-zero temperatures, broadcasting live from what could become the most contested piece of real estate on Earth. To understand why Trump is making these unprecedented threats, we need to understand what Greenland actually is. And viewers, it's not just ice and polar bears. According to the U.S. Geological Survey data cited by Reuters on January 18, 2026, Greenland sits on some of the world's largest untapped reserves of rare earth minerals, critical components in everything from smartphones to military weapons systems. We're talking about elements like neodymium, praseodymium, and dysprosium. Here's the kicker. Right now, China controls approximately 70% of the global rare earth mineral supply. Trump's administration has reportedly been concerned about this monopoly for months, according to trade policy documents reviewed by AP. But the strategic value goes far beyond minerals. Greenland hosts Thule Air Base, one of America's northernmost military installations. According to Department of Defense statements from January 15, 2026, this base is critical for early warning systems against intercontinental ballistic missiles and for monitoring Russian and Chinese Arctic expansion, climate change, and this is verified by NASA satellite. Data from 2025 is opening new Arctic shipping routes. The Northern Sea route could cut shipping time between Asia and Europe by 40%. Whoever controls Greenland has significant influence over these routes. And then there's the elephant in the room, Russia and China. According to NATO, intelligence reports cited by CNN on January 19, 2026, Russia has been increasing its military presence in the Arctic at an alarming rate, building at least 475 military sites across its Arctic territories since 2020. China, meanwhile, has declared itself a near-Arctic state and invested billions in Arctic research and infrastructure. Trump's team reportedly views Greenland as the chessboard piece that could counter these moves. What happens next will shock you. Now, this isn't the first time Trump has expressed interest in Greenland. Back in August 2019, during his first term, he floated the idea of the United States purchasing Greenland and offered Denmark, quickly rejected as absurd. But what's happening now in January 2026 is on an entirely different level. According to a full transcript published by Reuters, on January 20th, 2026, here's what went down at Trump's post-inauguration press conference. A reporter asked, "Mr. President, Denmark has repeatedly stated Greenland is not for sale. What is your response?" Trump reportedly answered, "Denmark is a great ally, but they're being unreasonable about this. Greenland's people deserve prosperity and security that only America can provide. We're in negotiations, and those negotiations need to succeed. For everyone's sake." Another reporter pressed, "Are you suggesting military action?" Trump's response, as reported by AP, "Look, I love peace. Nobody loves peace more than me. But when America's security is threatened, when our economic future is at stake, a president has to consider all options. I'm not going to broadcast my strategy to our enemies, but let me be clear. Greenland will be part of America's security framework. Viewers, did you catch that? All options. In diplomatic language, that's as close as you get to threatening military force, without explicitly saying the words. Within hours, Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen issued a statement, verified by BBC on January 20th, calling Trump's remarks deeply concerning and completely unacceptable. She emphasized that Greenland belongs to the Greenlandic people, and any suggestion of military coercion is a violation of international law and NATO principles. But here's where the story takes another twist. Greenland itself is divided. According to a poll conducted by Greenlandic, newspaper Sermitiak published January 19, 2026, approximately 42% of Greenlanders expressed interest in closer ties with the United States, with about 18% supporting full independence from Denmark. However, only 11% supported the idea of becoming a U.S. territory through any form of coercion. Greenland's Premier, Mute Egede, gave a carefully worded statement reported by Reuters on January 21st. Greenland's future is for Greenlanders to decide. We welcome dialogue with all partners, but we will not be bullied or threatened. Can you feel the tension building? But that's not all. And this brings us to the media frenzy that's unfolding, right? Now across Greenland's frozen landscape. According to verified reports from multiple news organizations, including a CBS News dispatch from Nuuk dated January 21, 2026, the influx of international media has been unprecedented. Hotels in Nuuk, normally quiet during winter months, are completely booked. Rental car companies have run out of vehicles. Local restaurants are overwhelmed. One Greenlandic hotel owner told Reuters, "We've never seen anything like this." Journalists from America, Europe, Asia, even Australian crews, they're all asking the same questions. Will Trump really invade? What do we think? Are we scared? Major networks have established temporary bureaus. CNN reportedly flew in a team of 15 people, according to their own reporting. BBC dispatched Arctic specialists. Even smaller outlets are scrambling to get boots on the ground. Why? Because if this escalates, if Trump actually follows through with any form of military action, these journalists want to be there to capture history, and there's good reason for concern. According to unconfirmed reports cited by Fox News on January 21, 2026, and viewers, note I'm saying unconfirmed, because this hasn't been verified. By multiple independent sources, U.S. military assets in the North Atlantic have reportedly been repositioned in recent days. These reports suggest increased naval presence and surveillance flights, though the Pentagon has not officially commented on any specific movements related to Greenland. The question everyone is asking, is Trump bluffing, or is this real? Political analysts are divided. Some, like those quoted in a Washington Post analysis from January 20th, argue this is classic Trump negotiation tactics, make an extreme threat to bring the other side to the table. Others, including former national security officials interviewed by CNN, warn that Trump's unpredictability makes any scenario possible. What happens next is even more shocking, because this isn't just a bilateral issue between the U.S. and Denmark. This is potentially the biggest NATO crisis in the alliance's 77-year history. According to Reuters reporting from January 21, 2026, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg called an emergency meeting of the North Atlantic Council. All 31 member nations, remember this is current as of 2026, sent representatives to discuss what diplomats are privately calling the Greenland crisis. The European Union also weighed in. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen issued a statement, verified by AP on January 21st, declaring, "Any threat of force against a European territory is a threat against all of Europe. We stand in complete solidarity with Denmark and the people of Greenland." Viewers, do you understand the magnitude of what's happening? We're talking about the United States, the founding member and primary military power of NATO, being publicly rebuked by its own allies. Article 5 of the NATO Treaty states that an attack on one member is an attack on all. But what happens when one member threatens another? According to a legal analysis published by the Atlantic Council on January 20th, there's no clear precedent for this situation. NATO was designed to defend against external threats, not manage conflicts between members. And you can bet Russia and China are watching closely. According to state media reports summarized by BBC on January 21st, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov reportedly stated that Trump's Greenland gambit exposes the hypocrisy of Western alliances and demonstrates the aggressive nature of American imperialism. China's Global Times, a state-affiliated newspaper, ran an editorial on January 21st, translated by South China Morning Post, suggesting that if the U.S. can threaten to take Greenland, it undermines any American criticism of China's territorial claims in the South China Sea. The geopolitical implications are staggering. But the story gets even more complex. So let's address the billion-dollar question. Could Trump actually invade or forcibly acquire Greenland? And what would the legal and practical consequences be? According to international law experts interviewed by CNN on January 20th, 2026, any military action against Greenland would violate multiple international treaties and norms. The UN Charter, Article 2.4, prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. The U.S. is a signatory to this charter. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley, quoted in a Fox News analysis from January 23rd, notes that while the U.S. president has broad powers as commander-in-chief, an unprovoked military action against an ally would likely face immediate legal challenges both domestically and internationally. According to reporting by Politico on January 20th, several members of Congress from both parties have already expressed concerns. Senator Mitt Romney reportedly stated, "This is reckless rhetoric that damages our alliances." Senator Bernie Sanders called it imperialist aggression. But here's the catch. Trump's administration could argue they're acting on behalf of Greenlandic self-determination. If a significant portion of Greenland's population actually wanted to join the United States or become independent from Denmark, the legal situation becomes murkier. According to the principle of self-determination recognized in international law, peoples have the right to determine their own political status. A Reuters analysis from January 21st notes that Trump's team has been in contact with Greenlandic independence advocates, though the extent and nature of these contacts remains unclear. So we have a situation where the legal framework is complex, the political will is uncertain, and the international stakes couldn't be higher. What could actually happen next? Based on analysis from foreign policy experts quoted in multiple sources over the past 48 hours, here are the most likely scenarios. Scenario 1, the negotiated settlement. According to former State Department officials interviewed by AP on January 21st, Trump's threats could be a negotiating tactic. The most probable outcome: Denmark and the U.S. reach an agreement for significantly expanded American military presence, investment in Greenland's infrastructure, and perhaps some form of joint governance or strategic partnership. This would allow Trump to claim victory while avoiding the catastrophic consequences of actual military action. Scenario 2, Greenlandic independence. Some analysts, including those quoted in a Foreign Policy magazine article from January 20th, suggest Trump could support a Greenlandic independence movement. Greenland becomes independent from Denmark, then immediately enters into a close alliance or even confederation with the United States. This would be legally cleaner, but still extremely controversial. Scenario 3, the economic squeeze. According to a Wall Street Journal analysis from January 21st, Trump could use economic pressure, threatening tariffs on Danish goods, reducing cooperation on other issues, to force Denmark to negotiate. Denmark's economy is relatively small compared to the U.S., making it vulnerable to this kind of pressure. Scenario 4, the unthinkable. And then there's the scenario nobody wants to contemplate, but that international security experts say can't be completely ruled out. According to a think tank analysis by the Center for Strategic and International Studies published January 20th, if Trump genuinely believes Greenland is critical to national security and diplomacy fails, some form of limited military action, perhaps, justified as protecting American interests or invited by Greenlandic authorities could occur. This would be unprecedented, catastrophic for NATO, and likely trigger a global crisis. Which scenario will we see? Right now, even the experts don't know, but in all of this geopolitical chess, it's easy to forget the real people at the center of this storm. According to interviews conducted by BBC, journalists in Nuuk and published January 21, 2026, Greenlanders have mixed feelings. Arna Jarek, a 34-year-old teacher quoted by BBC, said, "We want prosperity and opportunity, but not if it means losing our identity or being pawns in someone else's game." Malik, a 52-year-old fisherman interviewed by Reuters, stated, "Denmark has not always been good to us. But being threatened by America? This is not the way to help us. Younger Greenlanders, according to social media analysis by CNN, seem more divided. Some see American investment as a path to modernization. Others fear cultural erasure. What's clear from all the reporting? Greenlanders want their voices heard, not to be discussed as if they're property to be traded. And that's perhaps the most important element of this entire crisis. So where does this leave us? As of right now, January 21st, 2026, the world is watching Greenland like never before. Media outlets are positioned across the island. NATO is in emergency consultations. Denmark is standing firm. And President Trump shows no signs of backing down. According to the latest reporting from all major news organizations, negotiations are reportedly happening behind the scenes. But publicly, both sides remain far apart. Will we see a diplomatic resolution? A new form of partnership? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the most serious NATO crisis in history? The answers will shape not just Greenland's future, but the future of international alliances, the balance of power in the Arctic, and America's role in the world. Viewers, this story is far from over, and we'll be here to bring you every development. If you want to stay updated on the Greenland crisis and all of Trump's breaking news in 2026, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Leave a comment telling us what you think will happen, negotiation or invasion. And if this video gave you the facts you needed to understand this complex situation, hit that like button. This is breaking news history unfolding in real time. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay engaged,